Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti, hoping you guys are having a good day. And again, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. In this episode, we are going to be tackling our top five albums of 1984. Yes, we're up to 1984. And I am again joined by Mr. Bill Schuster. How are you doing, Bill?
Armando doing quite well here in the year of Orwell.
There you go. And he changed his shirt, guys, so there you go.
It hopefully Big Brother didn't see me changing my shirt.
Don't count on it. Don't count on it. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have picked our top five albums of 1984 plus two honorable mentions. Um, as I've said in the previous episodes, the 80s are going to get more difficult as we go along. Uh, Bill and I were talking before we started taping that towards the later part of the 80s, it's pretty much slim pickings in terms of what was out there, in terms of you'd say what was considered mainstream pop or rock. But you know what? We did manage to pick our top five. So we are going to tackle the year 1984. Let's see what was up in 1984. Tina Turner had her big comeback. Prince was on top of the charts, many charts. So we are going to see where, if and where those artists fit on our list. So I'm going to pass again the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster, and he's going to give us his number five.
All right, thank you, Armando. Well, speaking of Prince and Tina Turner, here's another artist that's nowhere remotely close to those. It's Metallica with Ride the Lightning.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, Metallica. Back in
Mhm.
the Cliff Burton years, which is, frankly, the one and only Metallica era that I really need at this point in life. Uh, just to be blunt, I really don't care much after Cliff died anymore. What so let's just get that out there. Don't look for more Metallica in the ongoing decades, folks. Not from me. This though, this is absolutely outstanding. Kill 'Em All was a great start. It didn't quite make the cut for that year for me, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. But this is likely my favorite Metallica album. It definitely has my favorite Metallica song, which is Fade to Black. It's kind of predictable. It's the first song I ever heard, believe it or not, on the radio when I was living in Colorado at the time. It was played on Denver stations. I heard that so opening and it was really creepy and cool and it really got my attention, and then it started doing that build and getting heavy, and the lyrics, for a teenager, I'm like 16, and
Mhm.
yeah, a depressed lonely teenager. uh yeah, that was very much the kind of dark, poor me lyrics I was looking for at that time to fit my mopey teenage vibe. And it really spoke to me. It doesn't speak to me quite as well anymore. I'm not the depressed teenager anymore. But I still love the song. I still love to sing along with it. It's intense.
Mhm.
And it remains my favorite Metallica song. But the rest of the album's quite good too. A lot of people like to smack talk Escape. I like Escape quite a bit. It's no worse than any of the other songs on the album. Frankly, I don't know why people single that out. It fits
Mhm.
right in with the rest of the vibe. But of course, the other real classics, I think, are For Whom the Bell Tolls, naturally.
So,
Time marches on. Yeah, the killer song.
yeah, yeah.
Creeping Death. Let's go ahead and kill some Egyptian babies. Well, aren't you guys a ray of sunshine?
Oh my God, yeah.
So let it be written. So let it be done. Okay, yeah. And the Call of Cthulhu is a really cool instrumental. I don't typically think of these guys when I think of instrumentals, but I tend to forget they had a couple of really cool ones on these early albums here.
Yeah, they call it Cthulhu. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Really, the whole album is quite good. It's I think it's kind of a early peak of this newborn thrash sound. You can call it what you like. I'm not big on genre labels really, but that fits as well as anything. I mean, at this time, these guys were kind of a little bit revolutionary. Not so much now, but yeah, this still sounds great. I still pop it on the turntable and crank it up when I'm in the mood for it. And
Well,
yeah, forget about what they became later, both as people and as musicians. And I'll just leave it at that. Let the Metallica fans shred me in the comments if they like.
there you go. There you go. That's a good choice. From one end of the spectrum to the other, my number five is uh, Pat Boone. No, um,
Hey, he
no,
was
no, no,
metal once,
no. It's not Pat
briefly,
Boone.
sort of. He did a metal album, if you recall.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It's Pat Metheny with Rejoicing. Um, this is album where he was backed by Charles Hayde and Billy Higgins on as a rhythm section. Very laid back album, just very laid back. It's you could just with songs like I'll just go through some of the songs like "Lonely Woman," "Tears Inside," the title track, I call it the experimental 9 minute piece, "The Calling," which to me sounds like a textured wall of horns that they're playing throughout the entire track. It's just a very laid back album. It's like you could hear, the drummer using, the brushes on the drum on the snare heads, when he's like doing his part and stuff. Like it's a very laid back, relaxed album. You can put this album on, sit back with the lights off and just sort of chill for the night. You know what I mean? A very quiet, sort of reflective album. And I like it. I like it a lot. So that's my number five.
Cool. That was absolutely unexpected. I have never heard that album. I'm kind of curious.
I'm full of surprises.
Nice left field choice.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so was Pat Boone.
Oh, dude.
Like, well,
Yeah, all the Pats are just, yeah.
I was going to say Perry Cuomo, but I mean, we're not going to go there.
All right. Well, from this time frame, maybe Pat Morita in the Karate Kid. Yeah,
Oh,
just
God,
about
Arnold
right.
from Happy Days. I'm not going to
Yes,
go there.
there's all kinds of Pats. They abound
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
time frame. All right. Well, I guess from one obscure album to another, this one is, I don't know if anybody's heard of it or not, really, but I'm going for it. It kind of matches my shirt. Purple Rain from Prince and the Revolution. Is this the first time I picked a Prince album? Yes. Is this the easy pick? Yes. But it had to be here. I enjoyed the hits when they were new, when this was fresh. To this day, I've never seen the whole movie, believe it or not. Just clips walking past here and there. One of these days I'll get around to it.
Oh,
But
God.
over the years, though, even though I didn't buy this album at the time, a few years down, I got cassette copies of this and 1999 and became a big fan of both. But especially this, it's more concise than 1999. I think that one had a little bloat, even though I enjoyed it overall. But this is lean and mean, and every song counts. You all know the songs, people. I mean, I just saw, not by choice, but kind of by accident, nothing against them, but it just happened to be they were playing a local festival here, Vertical Horizon.
Okay.
Famous one hit wonders for those of you who recall. They were one hit wonders here anyway.
Everything she wants.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
everything
did
you
a
want.
cover
Everything you
of
want. Yeah.
they covered Purple Rain in that show,
Yeah.
and they did a pretty nice job of it. So yeah, that kind of tells you, the influence this album continues on. A totally different kind of band many years later is just going to whip out Purple Rain, and the crowd was into it.
Hmm.
And obviously, everybody knew the song. And yeah, of course, when Doves Cry, that was the first single that was released. I remember seeing the video, you Prince in the tub, and that lack of bass that I
There's no
didn't
bass.
notice that at the time. I just thought it was a cool sound. I didn't notice it until much later. Oh, yeah, there really is no bass there, but it
Yeah.
sounds so unique and fresh. And of course, let's go crazy. Yeah, there was a guy out at work years ago used to recite the opening to that all the time. Every time I saw him, the dearly beloved, yeah, we're gathered here today to get through this thing called life. And yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. You know it. You've heard it on the radio millions of times if you were alive then. Uh, Yeah, it's I kind of dig the back to all the little purple and lavender flowers and everything just fits the whole vibe. And have there been have there been many more badass rock star photos than this iconic Prince in all his purple regalia on his purple motorcycle?
I
He
would say
knows
no.
what a badass he is.
Hmm.
He's just saying, "Look, here I am. I've arrived."
Hmm.
Yeah, it had to be here. This is yeah, great stuff. Absolute classic.
I would agree.
I
I
thought
would
you
agree.
might.
I would agree. Um, Little footnote, Purple Rain was supposed to be a double album, but I won't get into that now. Another little quick footnote. Good choice, by the way. Another quick footnote. Vertical Horizon. They had the big hit. They were signed to RCA. They had the big hit with Everything You Want. Uh, Neil Peart performed on one of their albums on one track. He did the drums on their later albums, one of their later albums. But I digress. Moving on. Um, Prince is in my countdown as well, but we won't go there right now. Believe me.
What?
Big surprise.
Anybody who's been watching these shows so far continuously is probably going to guess that.
Yeah, my number four is Iron Maiden with Power Slave. Um, I first, I should remember when this came out. Songs like Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, um, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, all fantastic tracks. The instrumental Lost for Words, uh, Back in the Village, these are all fantastic tracks. Um, I love Steve Harris's playing. Like on the bass, it's just he's an animal on the bass when he wants to be. The duo guitar combination of Adrian Smith and Dave Murray. I mean, just bloody hell. You know what I mean? Like it's like amazing. Just the fact that they can do twin harmony guitar parts, very intricate, very sophisticated, but and just amazing. And I think Nico McBain was in the band at this point, right? Yeah, he
Yep.
was. Yeah. And again, Bruce Dickinson's vocals, like, come on, just an amazing. And again, if you hear the dogs barking, someone's outside. So I,
It's
I
because I was hitting those high notes again.
there you go, there you go. They just caught up to it. And again, the album cover, the cover art is just amazing. Um, I will say that people have said that they don't, I've heard people say that they don't like um Iron Maiden's sort of progressive metal leanings towards the later part of their career, like in the late 80s into the 90s. They started doing the intricate, complicated, uh compositions as far back as Power Slave. I mean, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, that's about 13 minutes long. Like,
Yeah.
hello, different sections, different type signatures, different passages. Like they
Even the
were doing
spoken
this.
word bit.
What was that? Sorry?
Even the spoken word bit. I mean, that's
The spoken
got
word, but
prog written all over it. So,
they were doing this basically from the 80s on. So I mean, in little spurts here and there. But yeah, I mean, Ace is high. Come on. You know what I mean? Like just breakneck tempo compositions in terms of the drumming and um just amazing, you know, power, bass lines, I'd say I call them, but just a fantastic album. And again, I am just getting into Iron Maiden, so I am a late bloomer. I'm late to the party on that one. But you know what? It is a fantastic album. That's my number four.
I agree. That's an excellent album. Yeah. Definitely one of the all-time most important bands in metal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not putting out any bad albums back there. Yeah.
No.
Um, all right, what am I? Okay, I'm on the one I don't have a prop for. Yeah, I told Armando before we started that he'd be disappointed that this is the one I don't have a prop for. It's a band he loves, and it's a band I love. But I think he might love them even more than me. It's Queen with The Works, and this is one of my favorite Queen albums. I adore this album. This hit me perfectly as a 16-year-old. I was living isolated in a farmhouse.
Ooh.
My mom, my stepdad, Max were usually gone quite a bit. So it was me out in this farmhouse. It was 5 miles out of town and no close neighbors. And it was me and the radio. And Radio Gaga hit me hard and deep. I absolutely loved and lived that song. The radio really was my friend then. And
Mhm.
so I still get pretty emotional about that song. I have no use for the radio now. I haven't for years, but back then, radio was absolutely my lifeline, my escape, my connection to the wider world, and it was very important to me. And Roger, with his song there, and from what I understand, with a bit of help from Freddie refining it, really, really tapped into a certain vibe, a certain audience there, and yeah, it still stays with me. But that's not the only song on the album. As much as I love it, and I really dig the whole album. Really, it's very much a different sounding Queen. They have moved sonically into the '80s with some of the sounds they're using. They're obviously they're well past their no synth years, and I'm cool with that because I like the sounds on this album. They're good for 1984. This is where they were meant to be at this point in time. This has, of course, Hammer to Fall, which was used in the Highlander, the original movie. And of course, it was one of the songs famously done at Live Aid as part of their concert. But I loved this song from the beginning. It was one of my favorites. It was a kick ass rock song, but it was also another one of those lyrics, us people living under the shadow of the mushroom cloud, as lyric said, that one hit home also quite a bit because we
Yeah.
really did have that fear of nuclear destruction. And
Yeah.
um, of course, I Want to Break Free is a big hit. I always liked it, but it's not one of my favorites on the albums. I still enjoy it quite a bit, but the video never bothered me. I think it's kind of a overstated that video had a huge effect on them in the States. They were still getting played a ton on the radio. I don't know. I'm sure there was a certain, shall we say, more conservative contingent that might have been shocked by this, but seriously, we were already seeing, I mean, Benny Hill and stuff like this. We were seeing
Yeah.
Monty Python, and there were all kinds of. We had oh God, what Some Like It Hot. Go back all the way. You can
Tony
see.
Curtis, Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Jack Lemmon.
exactly. So seeing men dressed in women's clothes was not exactly something that was shocking.
Rocky
And
Horror Picture Show.
exactly. So yeah, I think that whole thing is one of those musical myths that's kind of been blown out of proportion. Don't think it's near as accurate as its legend is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really, the album was quite successful overall. So yeah, even the lesser tracks, even stuff like "Man on the Prowl," that's just a fun romp. I love the I believe it was Fred Mandel that actually did the piano on that, which
Yeah.
I didn't know from my old cassette copy until years later. And oh, okay, I so it's just assumed it was Freddie playing all the piano on that. Nope, that was a guest doing all those classic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, great album. It finds them, some would say, in safe mode, trying to recover from whatever they freaked people out with on Hot Space.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Armando had discussed in a previous episode, um, I think this was them kind of regrouping and maybe a bit uh, safe or not. I love this album. It's
Yeah.
yeah, a top four Queen album for me personally.
I agree. Um, I there's a lot to say about this album. Number one, in terms of Man on the Prowl, I think that if you took removed Man on the Prowl and replaced it with the B side to um, Radio Gaga, which is I Go Crazy,
Mhm.
you'd have a killer first side, like all the way through, boom, 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 boom. Um, there's other songs on the album too, like Machines Are Back to Humans. I love that track. It's like, oh, it is heavy, it is futuristic, it is a war of the worlds in 5 minutes, kind of a thing, like, living in a new world, how are you gonna last? Machine world, it's a machine's world. Like, are the machines gonna take over, or is the human race still gonna prevail? You know what I mean?
Back to human. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and with regards to Queen with that album, um, Radio Gaga hit number 16 on the
Yeah.
Billboard charts. But, ladies and gentlemen, Queen, groups like Queen, the Motels, they were caught up in a payola scandal through Capitol. So yeah, I see the album. So they were on the charts one week with Radio Gaga, and then they were off the charts a week later because they were not, they were Capitol was embroiled in this payola situation, semi payola situation, kind of like what happened earlier, like a few years before. But that's why the album suffered, and the momentum that they had with Radio Gaga dropped like a stone. So it's not that it's a bad album. It's just they got caught up in the music politics of what was going on. So it is a good album. It is a good album.
All I can say in response to that is Capital did not pay me to advertise this fine little robbers album by the Motels.
There you
Oh,
go. There you go. There you go. No, it's true. It's true. Um, Unfortunately, there's a lot of ass kissing that goes on in the music business. And if you don't pucker up to the right set of cheeks, there's an issue. And that happens. So,
there's
um,
a an album called Acquiring the Taste by Gentle Giant for you prog fans out there. Might remember the cover to that album, which
yeah,
is very graphic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We won't
You can
go there.
imagine what they're acquiring the taste for.
There you go. There you go. Uh, yeah. Moving on. Okay. My number three, ladies and gentlemen, is U2 with The Unforgettable Fire. You know what? Political or not, this was at a time where U2's star was definitely on the rise. They knocked out of the ballpark with this album. Production done by Daniel Lanois along with Brian Eno, with songs like, A Sort of Homecoming, the title track, uh, Pride in the Name of Love. That one track still gets to me. Still gets me. It came out in the later part of 84, I would say around September, October. Because I remember being in school at that point. School had started a month in when this started to air quite heavily on the music video channels, along with songs like Bad, which, if you want to hear, in my very honest opinion, the definitive version of the track Bad, get yourself a copy of Wide Awake in America, the live EP. 8 minutes of heart-wrenching, blistering, emotional, sorry, um, just heartfelt performance of that one track. Other songs of note, sorry, I'm a little emotional right now. Wire is another good one. The final track, MLK, which is just a beautiful ballad, 2 minutes plus, and the atmospheric instrumental 4th of July. It is a Sublime album. Uh, it's funny because Larry Mullins Jr. had said that U2 at that point, even in as far in as like 87, said that they were a great live band, but he didn't think they were great in the studio yet, that they still had to learn how to be good in the studio. I guess you can say that because he's in the band. So there you go. And just a quick note from the previous episode, on Pink Floyd, there is a new David Gilmour album coming out at some point in 2024. So
Without a guest appearance by Roger.
there you go. There you go. I just thought I'd just sneak that in there. But and I'm sorry that I got emotional.
Hey,
But
that's what we do here. I
yeah,
mean, if music doesn't move you, why the hell are you even listening to it? And if
yeah,
it doesn't move you emotionally, or at least make you shake your ass or make you think, if it doesn't move you in some way, what's the point?
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And some of these tracks are ass shakers on some of these albums, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and back in those days, yeah, U2 was, I mean, they were at their best when they were political back then, I think.
Yeah, yeah. No, granted.
Yeah, and they were a powerful band pretty well all through this decade. Yeah, I mean, I didn't mention it because it was a live album, but I mean, their album from the previous year, Under a Blood Red Sky, is one of my all-time favorite live albums.
I have
It's
it. Yeah.
great stuff, and it was very political.
Yeah. Their live version of Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Mhm.
I mean, good God. I mean, it's just
11 o'clock TikTok, New Year's Day. Oh yeah, 40, and oh wow,
yeah, yeah,
Gloria.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's a whole. I'm taking this back to a whole other year here. Never
We're
mind.
coming up with some ideas for new episodes, guys. As we're doing this. So yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool.
All right. Yeah. Good pick. I
Hmm.
do have just one bone to pick with Pride in the Name of Love. It is a brilliant, moving song, but the one little nitpick that bugs some people is on the morning, April 4th, shot rings out in Memphis sky. He was murdered in the evening, not the morning. So for historical minded people who want to nitpick things like that, that can kind of stick out a bit.
I know.
I know they
Mhm.
have artistic license, so your mileage may vary on that. But
No, I
I
know what
was
you mean.
actually born on April 6th in 1968, 2 days after it happened. So yeah, it was take out of that what you will. I don't know. Yeah,
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I
It's
wasn't
fine.
there, but I was close.
You're fine. You're fine.
All right, I guess we're at
Number two.
number two. All right, this was tough picking which of my last two picks were going to be the top because I absolutely love both these artists. They're two of my all-time favorite artists. Period. Love just about everything both of them has ever done. But number one had to go to the other one. My number two is going to be Joe Jackson with Body and Soul.
I knew it.
Yeah, I never had this on vinyl. I used to have a dubbed homemade cassette back in the day, and then I eventually got the CD. The CD was always real quiet. And I didn't really understand until I got this record. It even talks about the recording on this, on how it was deliberately. It says this record has been pressed on audiophile virgin vinyl. Owing to the above average running time on each side, this record has been cut at a below average level to avoid distortion. It'll sound quieter than most contemporary recordings. If in doubt, turn it up. Now I know why the CD sounded quiet all those years. It was meant to be quieter. I just didn't turn it up enough, apparently. But
Hmm.
yeah, this was digitally recorded back in 1984, so it was a pretty early moving away from analog. Sounds great. Obviously, you got the little Sonny Rollins reference tribute in the cover pose here with Joe and a saxophone.
Hmm.
Uh, the hit on here, which I believe got to 16, much like Radio Gaga, was "You Can't Get What You Want
Do you know
Till You
what
Get
you
What
want?
You Want." Yeah, it was. I mean, this is the follow up to his big hit album, Night and Day.
Yeah.
So it still had some momentum going at this point in his career. He had actually put out the Mike's Murder soundtrack in the previous
In
year,
between,
had a
yeah.
minor rock hit with Memphis, but this was the official follow up.
Mm.
Um, there was also Happy Ending was a nice little single here, not quite as successful. But really, the song starts out great with the brass section and everything in a song called The Verdict. It
Yeah.
comes in strong, dun dun dun, and lyrically it's wonderful. You got Cha Cha Loco, just a fun grooving
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Not Here, Not Now is a very powerful ballad of. It's kind of like an end of a relationship song. There's the line, "You don't want to cause a scene. Not here, not now." And
Yeah.
smiling faces all around us. Yeah, it's really a powerful emotional song. If you've ever been in that kind of situation, it'll hit you.
Oh yeah.
Um, you have the largely instrumental Lois Ada and also the largely instrumental Heart of Ice that bookend side two. There
Yeah.
there are vocals at the end of Heart of Ice, but they're kind of late in the game and not a whole lot to them. But the playing on this album is gorgeous,
Amazing. Spectacular. Yeah.
and the sound. If you get turn it up, apparently playing on
Yeah.
some halfway decent equipment, yeah,
Yeah.
the sound is wonderful. There's a lot of different instrumentation here. This is not just a rock combo or anything. You have credits for sax, flute, trumpet, flugelhorn, violin. I mean, it's all over the map here.
Hmm.
It's very much a pop album, but it's also very jazzy. Um, you could say it has a bit of perhaps salsa to it, classical elements, a little bit of. It's a Mulligan Stew album, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant. It's one of my favorite Joe Jackson albums to this day. It stands up quite well, and it deserved to be my number one. But I'm not doing ties, and I had to pick the other one that you're going to see soon.
Hmm.
It's a number one quality album.
Yeah. Yeah. I bought that CD on the strength of your recommendation and how you were talking about it. So you're a bad influence on me for CDs. Thank you. Um, my number two is going to go way the off the grid. There you go. Yeah, duck. And it is from Del Bello, and it's called Human Forces. Del Bello, Canadian artist from Toronto, otherwise known as Lisa Del Bello. This is her fourth release for Capitol. She had released three albums prior. Her first album for Capitol, called Drastic Measures, containing songs co-written with Bryan Adams, really didn't do well. The album was produced by Bob Esty. She decided to take a bit of a break and take stock of what she wanted to do musically. And along the way, she teamed up with Mick Ronson. Now, for those of you who don't know who Mick Ronson is, if you've been living in a cave, Mick Ronson, guitarist, multi-instrumentalist extraordinaire, classically trained musician, has worked with David Bowie, has produced albums for other Canadian groups like the Payolas, who Bob Rock was a member of. Human Forces is just a powerhouse of an album. She reimagined her look, she reimagined her musical direction, more edgy, more art rock, art pop, avant-garde. The only two musicians on this album are Lisa Del Bello and Mick Ronson. They cover bass, drums, guitar, keyboards between the two of them. They don't need anyone else. Um, the the leadoff single is "Going to Get Close to You," which Queensryche covered in 1986 for their major label release, the first album, Rage to Order, I think it was called. Um, this album is considered a concept album, uh, a concept album of the human spirit, um, told by told from a female perspective, basically taboos of women in society, religion and how religion plays their roles, what women's roles in society are supposed to be, okay? And the fact that in her mind, Dalbella was never going to conform to what you were supposed to be in terms of being a woman in society. Songs like, again, Going to Get Close to You, Animal, Devious Nature, Wait for an Answer, which was covered by Heart on their album Bad Animals. Target, my, my eyes are aimed at you. Um, Cardinal Sin, Path of Least Resistance. All these 9 tracks, they are bloody brilliant, bloody amazing. It is a sad state that sad note to say that Lisa Dabello has officially retired from the music business because she felt that as a woman in the music business, she could not be taken seriously. This woman is a triple threat, can sing, can produce, can arrange, can perform, write her own music, is a musician, not classically trained in the traditional sense, but she is a powerhouse. She is an entity all unto her own. And if you can check this album out, please do. Okay. It is one powerhouse of an album, and it should be talked about more. That's my number 2.
Right, very nice. I know we've talked about her before. That's I'm even more intrigued by this album now after hearing the description. So I have not heard it. So yeah, I'm quite curious. I've only I know I've played one of her albums a while back. I don't recall which one, and of course I'm familiar with the song "Start Today" from Alex Lifeson's Victor project that came out in the '90s. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just on based on that one track, it's enough to tell me she has an amazing voice. But yeah,
She, yeah, Lisa Dabello has a voice that can be as soft and as ethereal as an angel, but then can turn around in the same line and just crack your ribs with a guttural punch vocally that will send shivers up your spine. I swear to God, an amazing artist. Um, I cannot sing her praises enough. It is a shame that she has chosen to retire because from the music business, that's our loss. Seriously, it is our loss. And again, if you can get yourself a copy of this, I have this on CD, I have this on vinyl. That's how good this is. So, okay, we had a bit of a glitch there,
yeah.
but we're good to go. Well, we're going to continue. So
All right.
that was my number 2.
That was a good off the beaten path, unexpected pick. Um, I have no doubt that will be new to a lot of people, which is good.
That's good. Yeah, yeah.
All right. This is kind of continuing in a line that I've been following since 1973. Um, there's a band that since we did 73, starting in that year,
Yeah.
they had 5 consecutive albums for me that took my number one spot for the year. You know what band I'm talking about? It's Pink Floyd. They didn't put out an album this year. Who could beat Joe Jackson, my all-time favorite musician? It could only be one Roger Waters with this damn
Ah,
censored cover. I used to have the original record for years and it was uncensored. This black box drives me nuts. Not because I've never seen a woman's bare ass before, but because it's part of the art and they're just I hate when they destroy shit like that.
yeah,
Censors. Ah. But
yeah.
that bone out of the way. Okay, this is a love it or hate it album, much like the final cut. Um, I love it, obviously. It took a bit to warm up to it. I didn't actually get into it until like 86. I remember the single Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, 5:01 a.m., came out and was played on the radio a lot. And I thought it was
A
really
lot.
weird and cool. But at that time, I enjoyed the 4 songs off David Gilmour's About Face album that were getting played on the radio.
Hmm.
That got a lot more attention then. And I still like that album, but not like this. This is a different level. This apparently the guys in Pink Floyd weren't too impressed with this because they passed on it. Well, good, because
Yeah.
Roger does a brilliant job here. And well, I won't get into too much Eric Clapton. He's obviously about as controversial a figure as Roger is for different reasons these days.
Yeah.
But he is my mom's favorite guitar player. So for whatever that's worth, hi mom. To me, this is Clapton's best work ever. I know that's a controversial statement. He is perfect for this. You can say he was channeling a bit of Gilmore-esque stuff. I don't care what he was doing, but it worked great for this. His bluesy rivulets just kind of reining in slowly and just, but then he could kick it up a notch too when he needed to.
Yeah.
Arabs with knives at the foot of the bed, right at the foot of the bed. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, this is Roger at his shake you up and shock you best, where everything's
Exactly.
old mellow, and then suddenly he comes in and will scream at you out of nowhere, make you go, "Oh shit, what just happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he lulls
Yeah.
you, and then
Yeah.
grabs.
Well, yeah.
Lyrically, it's I don't know that it's about a dream he had, but it can be confusing or not. It's open to interpretation. I have my own ways of interpreting it, but I think it's really kind of a brilliant story and concept in my interpretation of it. It's essentially this man's dream. He's going on a journey with his wife and kids, and there's a lot of really emotional moments in it. This is not Roger talking about war, talking about his dad, anything like that. It's a whole different vibe than what he's stereotypically known for
Yeah.
by his detractors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very deep examinations of what it means to be human, what it means to be in a relationship and relate to others. Um, and
Hmm.
there's some really crushing moments in here
Hmm.
too. There's this whole the line that comes to mind: "Fuck it, then take the kids back to town. Maybe I'll see you around." It's just simple and harsh. This breakup. Hi, Bob. Hello. How are you?
Thank you.
Good. Good.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Of course. But there's all kinds of traditionally great Waters lyrics in here. If you like Rogers lyrics, there's plenty of love here. There's another one of my favorites is as I've always said, I prefer your lips red, not what the good Lord made, but what he intended. Yeah, this is another one of those like the final cut that people say has no melodies, has no hooks. Nonsense. Listen, people, listen more than once. Don't just put on a few minutes and go, "Oh, this crap, that's not worth my time." No, this is not. This is not a album full of pop confections.
No, it's not.
It's meant to be listened as one piece,
Yeah.
start to finish, and just experience it. Turn out the lights, turn it up, and just dig into it and just get taken away by it.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a journey I still will gladly take from start to finish all these years later. It's yeah, I think it's a masterpiece, but then I'm kind of a broken record when it comes to a lot of Roger stuff. To me, this is an unbroken line from Dark Side right through. I'm counting this as part of the streak
Yeah. Fine.
because while I do believe the other guys were important in the band, I'm never going to say they weren't. Roger is easily my most important, the one that means the most to me out of the Pink Floyd guys. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
touches me on a different level. And I don't mean that in a kinky way. So get that out of your head, you dirty minded people. Roger did not touch me, I swear.
It's
He's
a
got
Friday
bad enough
night,
reputation.
folks.
I don't want to hurt anymore.
It's a Friday night, folks. I'm telling you. Um,
That's my number one. Pros and cons of hitchhiking.
that's a good choice. It's a good
Open your
choice.
mind and ears and check it out, folks.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice. Yeah, I think that had I think had just quickly, I think had Pink Floyd chose to do this and instead of the wall, and the wall be well, some people say the wall is a basically a Roger Waters solo release. I disagree with that 1000%. But yeah, I think it would the outcome would have been completely different had they switched up concepts. For those of you who don't know, Roger Waters had written demos for the wall and pros and cons, and he presented both ideas to the band for the next project. They chose wisely to go with the wall. So that's it.
It would have
It's
been
good.
interesting to hear how it would have been, but I'm glad it went the way it did because
Yeah, no, I am too. I
the
am too.
final cut, pros and cons, I love them all. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we got them.
no, I am too. I am too. Big surprise, guys. My number one is Prince with Purple Rain. Uh,
What?
thank you. Thank you. Um, what to say about this album? My God, a juggernaut of an album. Um, 9 tracks. I don't know how many singles. Basically, all of side two were released as singles. Okay. Um, the original idea for the album was to be a double album because he had written a lot of B-sides for the album, 17 Days, God, you know, too many to mention. But he wisely decided to split the tracks up because every single track that was written for this project was written by Prince and the Revolution. He also released albums for Apollonia 6, that used to be called Vanity 6, songs for the time that ended up on the album's Ice Cream Castles. He smartly, split the tracks up for these 3 individual albums. This was Prince at his zenith. I mean, When Doves Cry as a lead-off single. Bloody Hell hit number one 4 weeks after release. Let's Go Crazy, amazing, follow-up single. Other songs, Take Me With You. Okay. But there's the album tracks too, the beautiful ones. Computer Blue, which to me is brilliant. It's new wave, it's rock, it's pop, more rock than pop. The middle guitar solo in the middle section, the melody of that comes from a song called Father Song, which was written by Prince's father, John Nelson. If you watch Purple Rain, you'll hear that song, Father Song, played on piano. He took that melody and put it into Computer Blue as a guitar solo. Amazing. Darling Nikki got Tipple Gore up in arms because of that song. I knew a girl named Nikki. I guess you could say she was a sex fiend. Met in the hotel lobby masturbating with a magazine.
Call me when you want to grind.
Yeah, call me up whenever you want to grind. I mean, and then to have it, play at the end of side one, and then to have the backwards vocals come in at the end, you know, and the double entendre at the beginning of Computer Blue with Wendy and Lisa.
Is the water warm?
Yeah, Wendy. Yes, Lisa. Is the water warm enough? Yes, Lisa. Shall we begin? Yes, Lisa. It's like this soundtrack for the time, and it's still relevant today, had everything you would ever want in a soundtrack. It had rock, it had soul, funk, it had pop, it had everything. Okay. The title track, okay, the version that went to release was 8 minutes and 30 seconds or 8 minutes and 50 seconds. The original version is 11 minutes long. Okay. There was a third verse that was taken out at the last minute. Prince actually asked Stevie Nicks to write lyrics for this song. She got scared. She couldn't do it. She goes, I can't. I'm out. Because she was scared. Prince scared Stevie Nicks, which I guess you could say says a lot, but anyways, won't go there. This is an amazing soundtrack. Apparently there's supposed to be a 40th anniversary edition coming out this summer. I don't know what's going to happen with that. There is a triple disc version that features unreleased stuff, and some demos and unreleased tracks that were written around that time. If you can get your hands on that, please do. I have it somewhere in the basement. I do have it, but this is my number one album, and it's a number one album for a reason. Top to bottom, pop, rock, confection, perfection. There we go.
All right.
Long-winded, but there you go.
I'm not surprised by this pick.
Well, there you go.
A couple of the others, yes, but definitely not that one.
Gonna want to make you check out Del Bello after this one. I mean,
And that Pat Metheny album.
yeah.
All right.
Honorable mention number one.
Number one, this band was also an honorable mention the previous year in '83. This is their third album. It's The Fix with Phantoms.
Cool.
And let me point out the what I do with it. Where to go? Where to go? Bear with me for a moment, folks. There we go. Okay. There's Reach the Beach from '83. Now check out the cover for the follow-up. It's the same guy swimming in a different direction.
Yeah.
In this weird block pattern. I thought that was a really cool just way to call back to the previous album artwork, but make it completely different. I rather like that artistic continuity, but the album is excellent as well. The singles weren't quite as successful as the previous album, but they still got a fair amount of play. Are We Ourselves was the opening single, and that was a fairly substantial hit. But I remember at the time hearing Facing the Wind, Sunshine in the Shade, Less Cities, More Moving People. All of those got played on the rock stations where I was at.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of excitement still about the follow up to Reach the Beach. It had enough momentum left over. And I think momentum is a lot of what carried this.
Yeah.
More than its own single success, but it is a worthy follow up. I think it's every bit as good as the previous album from top to bottom. It's if you like Reach the Beach, you're probably going to like this one too. So there's not a lot of progression in it, but there didn't really need to be. They try a few new things, but really it's a lot of more of the same, and that's a good thing in this case. So yeah, great follow up, and they've gone on to put out many more good albums. So, well, not many more. They're not super prolific throughout their career, but
yeah,
I don't think they've ever put out a bad album.
I would agree. True. And it's a good choice. My first honorable mention, and I'll be brief this time, I won't be so long ass winded, is David Bowie with Tonight. Coming off the heels of the massively successful Let's Dance, the reason why it's an honorable mention is I tried to listen to this album. It's just not there. I mean, he does a duet with Tina Turner tonight. The big single was Blue Jean. Even he admits that he does not like this album, did not like this album that much because he let other people do the arrangements for the tracks of the songs for him. Sorry. Which according to him annoyed him to his very core. That's a direct quote. It's just a mishmash of an album. So it does warrant the honorable mention status because of Blue Jean. But that's about it, really.
For me, I don't really have a strong opinion as an album, but Loving the Alien is a contender for my all-time favorite song by David Bowie.
There's that too. Yeah, there's that.
That's one of those songs that like we've talked about before, that can carry an album. Uh, yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant, especially in the full length album version. That song is just. I'm a bit off the beaten path with my Bowie single picks. I think half my favorite Bowie songs came out in the 80s. I really liked a lot of his singles in the 80s
Uh,
and not just the obvious, Let's Dance, uh, but a lot of the oddballs like Loving the Alien, like Absolute Beginners and the Pat Metheny collab on This Is
this is
Not
not
America.
America.
There's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of great
Oh
songs
my
scattered
God.
throughout the 80s, like
Oh
those
my
that he did.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, he gets much maligned for a lot of his '80s work, but and to some degree I can see it. But then again, he put out a lot of really good stuff too. It's not like he lost his talent at all. It just
Mhm.
maybe he got a little lazy here and there.
Mhm.
But still good stuff though. So yeah,
Oh,
that's a
very
good
good stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
worthy of an honorable mention.
Mhm.
um, this one is the first mention of this band. It's their second album, and there were probably two, three songs on this that got a lot of play on the radio back then. They became much bigger later on. Here, they were kind of a somewhat successful cult band, kind of similar to what U2 were around this time, but they were always a little step behind U2. They both started out as successful critical favorites and cult bands and built throughout the 80s until they became superstars eventually. It's REM and Reckoning. The main big single off here was South Central Rain, which is frankly nowhere in the song. So it's one of those weird titles that drives people crazy if they're trying to figure out, hey, what's that song by REM, that I'm sorry song? Oh, that's South Central Rain.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's where the lyrics.
Do 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 do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
No,
that
no.
got a lot of play and pretty
The minute,
persuasive.
sorry, the minute you said I'm sorry, I know what song you were talking. I knew it. I knew it. Yeah.
But being, the pain in the ass REM guys that they were, they decided, okay, let's call this
Mm,
something that's nowhere in the title. We're going to break the Bob Seger rule where you have to have your title screamed 1,000 times throughout the song so everybody knows what it is they're listening to.
mhm.
Um, yeah, that's they totally went away from that. Yeah, Pretty Persuasion was another one that got a lot of play. She's got pretty persuasion, goddamn your confusion. Yeah, it was a pretty solid rock track. I really dig Seven Chinese Brothers and Harbor Coat songs that open the album.
Yeah,
They have this a certain amount of innocence still here to their sound, which I really like. It's this just folky, rocky. It was alternative rock before alternative rock became a format, before it became what it became in the 90s, where
yeah,
it got classified that this really was alternative
yeah,
back in these days.
yeah.
To hear this on the radio at all was that's different. What the hell is that? And
Exactly. No,
yeah,
you're
so
right.
yeah, great stuff. Uh, the band quite a bit.
Okay. You glitched there for a sec, so
Oh, okay.
no, that's fine. It's fine.
I was
Uh,
time traveling back
yeah.
to 1984. I'm back now.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome back, Bill. Okay.
Thanks.
My
Woo, it was
last
rough.
my last honorable mention for 1984 is Tina Turner with Private Dancer. This is considered her big comeback album, and it was. She was picked up by Capitol Records. Rumor has it on the recommendation of David Bowie, because she was his favorite performer. The single was, "Let's Stay Together." The
Al Green.
Al Green. So I was thinking Al Green. Al Green, and but it'd be good to me. Title track written by Mark Knopfler featuring Jeff Beck. She had a who's who working with her with the on this album. Two of the lead singer and guitarist from The Fix
Yeah.
were featured on this. uh, album. Her cover of 1984 from David Bowie. You know, uh, I Can't Stand the Rain. All these fantastic tracks. Um, it just, I don't know. I like it. I there are some spots for me that's a bit hit and miss. For me on this album, which is why it is a an honorable mention. So, and yeah, so that is my honorable mention.
I think that's a fair assessment. I would agree. That's what hits really hits. But yeah, it's a bit spotty. But yeah, there are
Yeah,
some outstanding tracks on here for sure.
yeah, I
And it was a
mean,
great comeback for her. Good, I mean, good for her, considering everything she'd been through over many years. So
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
pretty a real feel good story on top of her success and everything else. So it's great that she had that late career success.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, she, again, 83, 84, she was all over the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what can you say, right? So there you go, guys. Our top five albums of 1984. Plus the two honorable mentions. Got a little bit long-winded, but you know what? There you go. It happens sometimes, right? That happens with Bill and I when we do these shows. We get long-winded. So down below in the comments, please put your top five albums of 1984. Could be from any genre, as you can tell. We covered the gamut in this episode. Um, could be top five, top 10, top two, whatever you want to do. So, for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti, bringing you a good night. We will be back soon with another video. Please look after yourselves and one another and click the notification bell and click like and subscribe. And the notification bell, once you click it, will keep you on top of any new content that I've got coming up. So, again, for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti, bidding you a good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.